I wanted to talk to you today about good governance inside of organizations. And this is a topic that we think about a lot at the Alignment Company, and that gets, we think about it in the wrong way often, a lot of organizations do. But at the end of the day, governance is really about deciding who does what and doing so in a timely fashion and in a fashion that, represents our best thinking, essentially. So we've been working with an organization, a client recently, and we developed a model that I wanted to share with you the first draft of, essentially. It's fairly well developed at this point. We're rolling it out. And there's always room for improvement. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it. But again, this is a a hybrid model that sits between the hierarchical and a network model. And we'll describe what we mean, as we go through this. So as a reminder, governance is really just all the things we do that create aligned, engaged, and a well-coordinated action inside of our organization. It includes all of the structures, the policies, the practices that tell us who does what and how we work together. And so today I want to focus especially on the structures, because I think this is where we get a little wrapped around the axle often when we're thinking through things, because there's so many different ways we can think about what team, what individual, who has the authority to decide what inside of an organization, who's the best person to make a decision, essentially. The underpinning to all of this is an observation that comes out of social science. It also comes out of our work that people like to work in silos. We like to actually work in small teams, somewhat isolated from other people. We don't need all sorts of information in order to do great work. But at the same time, information can get locked up inside of these silos, and that can be a real problem for organizations when you have one division or one part of the organization making decisions based on incomplete information that another part of the organization actually has, and that's impacting that other part of the organization. And so we frequently hear complaints about our organization is too siloed. That's one of the main tensions we get brought in to help alleviate. So typical hierarchical governance actually can solve the siloed problem if done well. And so we do often begin simply working with hierarchical governance inside of the organization. And that means we look at the senior leadership team to start off with. So is this team a good team? Do they share information well? Do they make decisions well? Do they have a good culture? Do they have a dynamic and robust operational frameworks that help them make decisions at the right time? Is information transparent? There's a lot of things that can be done simply by working with the senior leadership team that will dramatically improve the governance inside of an organization. Once we get done working with the senior leadership team, we'll often work with their teams, which is we think of as the leadership team. So it's the senior leadership team mixed with the direct reports of the leadership team, and often a few ancillary roles like legal and a few other things that kind of sit around all of this. And again, this can really help create those connections between the silos if it's done well. But you'll still notice that there's a whole part of this organization which isn't often really talking to each other, or if they are, maybe they're doing it only when things are going wrong or things are going bad. And often they're even doing it in some ways, like it may be that the CMO and the CPO disagree with each other in some small way, which creates a big disagreement among a couple of their people kind of lower down in the organization, and almost a war. And it's almost invisible to people at the higher level, but very, very visible and very significant to people lower down the level. So this sort of amplifies as it rolls down the organization. So the way we are healing this is looking at what we think of as cross-functional governance. Now, this might be familiar to those of you who are familiar with team of teams models that Stanley McChrystal popularized, or holacracy, sociocracy. This idea that you have small cross-functional teams that are in some ways independent and mutually interdependent with each other, and we create connections between those teams. So we don't depend on the hierarchy. What we do is we distribute authority to a cross-functional team. Might be focused on a channel, might be focused on a region, might be focused on a specific product or function. And there's been a lot of very great success with these models. But again, sometimes it requires us to completely reformat the entire organization, and many organizations aren't ready for that and might not even get a big benefit from it. So starting with the hierarchical is often where we like to start. I can't quite say the word hierarchical, apparently. So this hybrid governance model has these, let's call it these three cross-functional teams that are governance teams that are also reporting into and share membership with the leadership team. And so we then create the connection between the hierarchical governance and the team-based governance, or the cross-functional team. The two main principles we use is we want the organization to act as a single and unified unit. We want there to be some alignment, some unity. We also want to use these cross-functional teams as the primary way that we coordinate work, right? So the hierarchical teams might create the guardrails, they might look at budget, they might look at strategic positioning, but on a day-to-day basis, it's deciding who gets done what, who does what. It's these cross-functional teams which are really the important teams. So the way this might work really practically is, let's say you're a global business that operates in a variety of markets. And so what you might do are a variety of channels. So what you might do is create a cross-functional team for each channel and a cross-functional team for each grouping of market. So here we have the US, EMEA, and APAC on the right, and we have B2G, B2B, and B2C on the left. Now, these teams might actually share some membership, and let's say you want to do a new B2G initiative in the US, those two teams might need to coordinate action. They probably share some membership. And we have now a place to take that decision. We have a place to, we may disagree with each other about how to approach something, but often the problem with disagreements is that we don't have a time and a place to actually discuss them and resolve them, and it just they stay there at this low-level tension forever. So this gives us an opportunity, this gives us a place to resolve them. There might also be other teams that we need to create. So we might need to create a team that is focused on product steering. The US team might develop some smaller teams to focus on specific cities or specific other sort of fine-grained geographical regions. We might have a team focused entirely on winning revenue. We're creating one called the Revenue Win Room at a place we're working with right now. And so these teams might arise and also be decommissioned on a sort of a regular basis, right? So as needed, they might be temporary teams, they might be permanent teams. We might not know if they're temporary or permanent when we create them, so we create protocols to create these teams. So that's the hybrid model we propose. I wonder if you find it useful. I wonder if it maybe helps clarify some things that you're thinking about with the organization you work with. We'd love to engage with you in some dialogue around this, like help us improve this model. We might publish this model at some point. Let us know if that might be of interest to you, some guidebooks and those kinds of things around it. But really, we're just really excited about this right now. We're rolling it out, as I said, with a client in the next little while. And we just wanted to kind of get it out in public and see what you all thought of it. So thanks very much, and stay in touch.